Hey guys, it's Andrew from Headrest here. Wanted to overview our audio surround router to enable a surround sound experience on a Windows PC. I want to preface this with, this is kind of like for people who are really into tech, who are interested in trying things out, are good at being, beta testers, giving feedback. This is our first version of this application. It's really lightweight, fully signed, and we're open to open sourcing this. If you have ideas on how we can make it different, better, anything like that, this is just the first version. It's a place to start. So we're looking for your feedback, your experimentation. Just expect that it's new and that there may be some quirks to it. So we can show you how to do the install, super straightforward, but once it's installed, you're gonna have this shortcut on your desktop. Open that up, and you're gonna see the app. And when this is first installed, some of these selections may not be configured, they might be blank. But the secret sauce or the magic to this is that we have created a virtual driver on your machine that's fully signed and recognized by Windows. And that virtual driver enables 7.1 surround sound. So once you have that, if you don't have any other 7.1 surround devices, like if you try to go in and watch a video in 7.1 or play a video game in 7.1, it's just not going to work. And so it either won't output or it'll revert back to stereo. So with this virtual device, now all of a sudden you can actually access that surround sound content. So our source device is always going to be this surround router virtual 7.1 audio device. Then we have a choice for front output. Because I'm using a laptop here, it has built-in speakers. We also have these external speakers. So for the external speakers to work, we're choosing headphone. We could also choose the internal speakers. They're just kind of weak, so we're using these Bose externals. So we'll choose the headphones. There's some features here that you can play with in terms of exclusive mode, volume, and latency. We'll let you experiment with that. Each has a different effect on how things function. For the output device, you're always going to want to have that USB dongle connected for the low latency aptX connection. The reason for that is that if you use regular Bluetooth, this will function. It's just going to be delayed going to your rear channel speakers because Bluetooth is inherently has some pretty severe latency in it. So if you use the USB dongle, then it cuts down on that latency and it makes it so that this whole experience is really immersive. So our output device for the rear is always going to be Atlas Headrest, which is what the USB dongle shows up as. Once we have these configured, again, there's some different settings that you can play with. I'm not going to go into those. That's for somebody to just experiment, nerd out with. You hit start. Once we hit start, then this whole system is enabled. If this is stopped or if this app is closed, you're not going to get a surround sound experience. And you can now test this if you want by simply going into your control panel, going to sound, going to the 7.1 audio router virtual driver, hitting configure, and then don't bother with stereo 5.1 any of that. Just leave it at 7.1, hit test, and you're going to see this cycle through the different speakers, and then you're going to hear it from the appropriate locations. If for some reason you have this misconfigured, then it's not going to sound right. Like if you have your front channels and your rear channels switched, it will show where it's coming out from and you'll hear it from the wrong location. But so now that we've verified that we have 7.1 functioning, that we have the surround sound functioning, we can choose a source of 7.1 sound, either a video game or something like an actual downloaded video being played through VLC or some other player that supports 7.1. If you go to YouTube and you select a video that says it's a 7.1 demo or anything like that, you're not going to get a surround sound output. It's stereo from your web browser. It's just not something that works that way. So you're going to have to use something like VLC in order to enable that surround sound output. There's a website, we can give you a link to it, that has a bunch of downloads. But so you choose one of these downloads and then you can test out your surround sound. So this actually has like this Demolandia is where we get a lot of these demos from. But any original content, if you got a DVD player, Blu-ray player, anything like that, and it's playing back with surround sound, then you're gonna experience this. Video games are awesome just because most of them have that surround sound content built into them. So that's a quick overview of how this works, what it does. Again, early version can change over time, will change over time, need your feedback, looking forward to it. Hope you have fun with it. Hope you enjoy the experience. Hey guys, it's Andrew from Atlas Headrest again. I wanted to overview the audio router application that we created for Windows so that you can enable a surround sound experience on a Windows PC. So if you come to our installation page, scroll down, you'll find this Windows surround sound pane. Click download and download the audio router app. Find the installer. It may, depending on your browser, it might advise you not to download it. We can show that in a video, how to make sure that you actually download the app itself. So then we just go through the installer, super simple, accept the end user license agreement, scroll through that, read it if you want to. Any of these options, typical, custom, or complete, are gonna get you a full install, so that doesn't matter. As you can see, it's got like the nice Windows badge that this is gonna be a signed install. So I'm gonna go through and install, verified publisher, everything like that. Fully installs this, click finish, and you're gonna have this surround router on your desktop. So now we can come to the surround router, open this up. Really simple interface. In order for this to function, this has to be open and it has to be started. So how do we configure it? The source device is always going to be this virtual 7.1 audio device. Then with the 7.1 enabled, we have to decide on a front output device. So you're gonna see the list of all the different audio devices you have connected on this computer in particular. It's got our Atlas Headrest, which is via the USB dongle, and then it has a speaker, and then it also has headphones, which we've got connected actually the headphones to these Bose speakers. So I'm gonna choose these headphones. There are some functions, this exclusive mode and things like that you can play with if you want to and see just the different results. I'm not gonna get into that. There's a volume adjustment here, which is specifically to the front channel speakers. You can also adjust on these externals, at least, the audio separately there. Then there's a latency. So that latency allows for you to adjust the time delay because the speakers are closer to your head, and if you have any sort of lip sync issues with the video, it allows you to sync up these different sources. So we're gonna leave it as the default 100 milliseconds for the front speakers. Now for the output device on the rear, we're gonna choose Atlas Headrest here. That's again, that USB dongle. In order to get the low latency connection, you have to use that USB dongle between your PC and the wireless speaker. Again, you can adjust the volume independently. So when you're adjusting the volume in your system settings, it's gonna adjust it for both of these devices. This allows you to balance out, like if your front speakers are much louder or quieter than your wireless speakers in your headrest, you can balance that out. Then we click start. So once we click start, then these devices are coupled. So these are now my front channels and these are my rear channels. So how can we test that? The easiest way to test that is to go into your control panel and then go to your sound settings. And when we go to these playback devices, we're gonna see this surround router virtual audio device. We can go in here and hit configure, and you're gonna see that this is set up either stereo, 5.1 surround, or 7.1 surround. Always leave it as 7.1 surround. Don't try to degrade it to 5.1 and or stereo. It's just not gonna work then. But because I have this app up and running now, I can now hit test, and what it's gonna do is cycle through all the different speakers and demonstrate to me that I have this surround sound. So if you were sitting here with me, you would be hearing these front channels, left, center, and right, all came out of the front speakers, and then all the surround channels, the surround left, surround right, the rear left and rear right, all of that came out of the corresponding speakers. So once this is done and we're testing it, then we can experience something in surround sound. I would advise downloading some different videos, some demos from a place called Demolandia. They have a bunch of different Dolby and DTS, Atmos tracks, videos, things that you can play back. And with VLC, it's going to give you a full 7.1 surround sound experience. To verify that it is all working though, that's where the sound menu and running through this configuration, you can ensure that everything is set up correctly. So what happens if I stop this app or close out of it? If I stop this app or close out of it, then when I run this test, nothing is going to happen, because effectively we're not telling that virtual driver where to output the sound. So it's just kind of there and dead. It's not outputting anything. So in order to re-enable sound, if I'm closed out of that app, I want to do something else, I would have to select a specific device so I can come back and say, okay, well, I'm going to use the speaker itself in my headrest as the output device, and then I can come back here, test it, and make sure that that's still working again and everything like that. So it's really a lightweight, simple application that enables surround sound. That's really cool to experience, fun in video games, awesome for movies, things like that. That's it for now. We hope you enjoy it. Love to get your feedback, and thanks for being a customer.